one of my greatest pet peeves in modern sports. The GOAT tackling a subject that I have tweeted about many times. This idea that 82 games a season is too many games for these young, healthy, tip-top athletes to play. An obligation, an old school sense of I owe something to these fans. We've lost it. The GOAT tackling a subject that I have tweeted about many times at Super 70 Sports and that I have sat at this desk and talked about on this program on multiple occasions as well. It is one of my greatest pet peeves in modern sports, the idea of load management in the NBA. This idea that 82 games a season is too many games for these young, healthy, tip-top athletes to play, and that back-to-back games can be a problem, or 3 games in 4 days can be a problem, and therefore, in order to keep your players fresh, in order to maximize your opportunity in the playoffs, you should set these guys periodically throughout the season, even though they're healthy, because 82 games is just too much. And maybe they only need to play 60 or 65. Toronto won a championship. I think Kawhi Leonard played 60 games during the regular season. And many of those games were just to maintain Kawhi Leonard's sensitive physical health. This guy who is a magnificent athlete, we don't think that he can play 82 games. All right, but don't take my word for it, because what the hell do I know? This has bothered me for years now, because in my day, watching the players, you expected Julius Erving to go out there and give you 82. You expected Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to go out there and give you 82. You expected Bird and Magic to go out there and give you 82. I don't remember any of those guys ever setting down when they were healthy. Larry Bird's back gave out, and yeah, he missed a lot of games later in his career, but he missed those games because his back was so fucked up he couldn't even sit in his lazy boy when he got home. All right, I'm not talking about that. If you're injured, if you cannot perform, that's one thing. But if you are being held out because we need to pace you, even though you physically are able to go, I think you are robbing the consumer. You are robbing the ticket buying public. You are robbing anybody that is sitting down to watch the game on television. And I think that the NBA has got to get back to some old school mentality. And who better to speak on this subject than the greatest player to ever hold a basketball in his hands, Michael Jordan. He sat down with NBC's Mike Tirico and gave us his thoughts on load management.
Back to your point of what load management is, you play basketball 2.5 hours a day, 3 hours a day, right? That's your job. That's what you get paid to do as an NBA player. What are you doing the other 21 hours? I mean, to me, that's when you should be preparing for your next day of work or your next, challenge. Now, I'm the worst. Maybe I'm not one of the guys that you would probably model that, or
I was going to say, did you do that every time?
But you should think about that in retrospect of what load management really is. I always felt like one, it was a sense of pride for the fans that are paying.
Right.
2 is a sense of making sure that I stay sharp. I'm not going to lose it. And 3, I want our rhythm as a team to always be there. It can disrupt that synergy that's happening.
Team chemistry, one of the reasons there that MJ mentions why it doesn't set well with him either. And a little bit earlier in that interview with Mike Tirico, Jordan was talking about how he felt a sense of obligation to the fans who had saved up their money. Man, working class people, it's not easy always to get tickets, especially if you're trying to take a family. You can take a family of 4 to an NBA game. It could be over $1,000 just to get in the building, depending upon who's playing. And that's a lot of money to a lot of hardworking people in our society. And if you pay it and you go to the game, you want to see Steph Curry. You want to see Giannis. You want to see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You want to see the best players in the league, and setting them out when they're healthy just because you think it gives you a better chance to succeed in the playoffs later, it doesn't wash as a really great excuse. Jordan talked about how the guy in the upper deck, he thought about that guy. And Tirico was like, "What? Really? You thought about the guys in the upper deck?" He said, "Yeah, in Detroit, I thought about that guy in the upper deck who hated my guts and wanted to see me fail. And I wanted to show that guy who I am." An obligation, an old school sense of I owe something to these fans. We've lost it in the NBA today, and we got to get it back. Jordan's saying you're working 2.5, 3 hours a day. What are you doing the other 21 hours? Look, I know NBA basketball players are not like regular folks. They're not sitting in a cubicle somewhere. They're not pushing a pencil. Yes, they're going up and down the court. If you're a starter, if you're an integral player to a team, you're playing 30 plus minutes a night, and you are exerting yourself while doing that against some of the greatest athletes in the world. However, working 35 minutes a night, 82 times a year, doesn't sound exactly like a coal miner, does it? There are tougher gigs out there than that. You can't give me 35 minutes 82 times a year, relatively rarely playing on back-to-back days. What the fuck are we talking about? I want to walk you through some of the history of the NBA. When the NBA still had some hair on its chest, when it wasn't just a three-point pop-a-shot contest like I like to play when I take one of my daughters to Chuck E. Cheese. I'm over in the corner just chucking up threes because, by God, I don't see any age limits on any of those games when I go to a Chuck E. Cheese. But that is what the NBA has become. Let's look back at what the NBA used to be. Let's look at what Michael Jordan used to have to deal with. He played in an era when contact was such a larger part of the game. As I remember it, plays like this happened about half a dozen times a night, if not more. Next time I hear somebody sitting out, some diva has to take a day off because of load management, you just remember MJ was out here dealing with this shit. Almost never missed a game. Jordan is not one of those guys who's telling you about how it was in his day and making himself sound tougher than he was. Michael Jordan played 13 years for the Chicago Bulls. I'm going to put an asterisk on 2 of those years. His second year in the league, he broke his foot. There's nothing you can do about that. Look, this conversation isn't about legitimate injuries. Sometimes you're physically unable to perform, and I get that. All right, so that's one season we're going to set aside. The other one we will set aside is when he came back in 1995 from playing baseball and came back for the very end of the year. Of course, they got eliminated by Shaquille O'Neal and the Magic that year. The other 11 years, he was healthy and available, more or less, for those 11 seasons. He played all 82 games 8 times. He played 81 games once. He played 80 games once, and he played 78 games once. He missed 7 games in 11 years when he didn't have some extenuating circumstance. And oh, by the way, he played 82 games one more time in his career as well, and it came when he was 40 years old and with the Washington Wizards. Say what you want. He went out there and played 37 minutes a night when he was 40 years old, and he gave the Wizards 82 games. Everybody that came out to see Michael Jordan that year, yeah, they didn't see vintage Michael Jordan, but they saw 40-year-old Michael Jordan out there suiting up and giving them the best that he had, because he meant it when he said that he wanted to go out there and show the fans who he was. And we need some more of that sensibility. Look, I want you to know, guys used to play through stuff, okay? It was a tougher era. Take a look at Calvin Murphy, for instance. Out on the court playing in a hockey helmet. Have a look at that. And I had a little bit of fun with this. I said, Calvin noticed that none of the other moms in the NBA made their kids wear a safety helmet. He was a little sensitive about it. from what I
Yeah,
guess.
sit in a booster seat
look
too.
At this. Yeah, it's crazy to look at that. It's not even the wildest one we have. I'll come to a wilder one than this a little bit later. But I do want to shout out some of the modern players. Some of these guys are throwbacks and deserve credit. Among them, Chris Paul, who I tweeted about earlier this year. Chris Paul, future Hall of Famer, one of the greatest point guards in the history of basketball. But this is the thing that I'm going to give him the greatest amount of credit for. Shout out to Chris, fuck your load management, Paul, for starting all 82 this year in his 20th NBA season. And he did it for a 34-48 team that was going absolutely nowhere. It's called being a professional, motherfucker. See, apparently it can be done. If you can play 82 for a 34-win team when you're in your 20th year in the league, I got to believe that the 23 and 24-year-olds can lace them up and get out there as well. Wilt Chamberlain, if he were still with us, God rest his soul, I think would be in the amen corner on this particular topic because he was in a different stratosphere. All right, in 1962, Wilt Chamberlain missed 8 minutes the entire season. And that was only because he got ejected. Obviously, he was so worn out by this workload, he averaged 50 points and 25 boards a game, while also fucking 33% of the people he met that year. Load management, my ass. He averaged over 48 minutes a night that season. I believe 48.6, if my memory serves, and that is because, yes, overtime games. He was out there for overtime as well. He actually averaged more minutes than an NBA game is. And this guy right here, I don't know how the hell he was giving the Boston Celtics any minutes whatsoever. Ron, you think Calvin Murphy's headgear is bizarre? Have a look at this. Gerald Henderson out there shooting free throws like he got rear-ended on the way to the arena. When I was a kid, load management meant loading up your fucked up vertebrae into a neck brace and getting your ass out there. Son, this man may be entitled to damages. He's still out there giving you quality minutes. Let's grow a spine again, America. Here in Chicago, he would need to call Glenn Lerner. Who's the injury attorney on billboards in your town? Ron, everybody has one of those
Bart
guys.
Durham.
At least one of them. There you go, Bart Durham. Somebody tell Gerald Henderson to call Bart Durham because he may be entitled to damages. No, he's too busy out there playing in a neck brace. Show that to the next guy who's just feeling a little tired. The next 27-year-old NBA All-Star who just says, oh, geez, I just don't feel quite optimal today. I think that I need to set out. What in the world are we talking about? Look, take it not from me, but take it from the greatest who's ever done it. If Michael Jordan says it's not necessary, that is good enough for me, period, end of sentence. Now, this brings me to the NBA's Iron Man. And Ron, I know that you remember this guy. Everybody makes such a big deal out of Cal Ripken, and justifiably so. Cal Ripken, who chased down Lou Gehrig in 1995. It was the biggest story of the 1995 baseball season as baseball started to try to rebuild from the damage of the 1994 strike and the cancellation of the World Series. Cal Ripken goes out there, chases down Gehrig's record that had stood for over a half of a century. And he deserves credit for that. But where is the love for AC Green? AC Green is the NBA's Iron Man, and this is really impressive. This is almost like Cy Young's 511 wins. When we start talking about records that'll never be broken, the way that the ethos of the NBA is today with load management, you're doing damn well to see anybody go out there and give you 82, much less doing it year after year after year. Now, this is incredible, Ron. This is truly incredible. Listen to this. From November of 1986 to April of 2001, AC Green did not miss an NBA game. And he didn't even miss a game his last year. He just retired after playing 82. 15 years, this guy didn't miss one game. And he managed his loads as well, Ron, because he was a virgin the entire time.
You don't even have to say it tonight.
Some of you might remember AC Green, very famous, most famous, even though he won 3 NBA championships with the Showtime Lakers. He was an all-star once. I mean, this guy was a very, very good player. But the thing that he was most known for was durability and not having sex. And he was very outspoken about it, that it was a huge part of his faith. He wanted to wait until he got married and have that be something that he shared only with his wife. AC Green played until 2001, 1,192 consecutive games, got married in 2002, Ron. He played all 1,192 without having known the touch of a woman. Maybe that's the secret.
So according to Google, he had 2 nicknames. One was Iron Man, and the other was Iron Virgin. So
there you go. The Iron Virgin. Lou Gehrig was getting all kinds of pussy from what I
remember.
Ron.
I mean, it's funny when I saw that in the rundown. The first thought I had were Jerry curls and abstinence. It's like the first thing I thought of when I saw the name AC Green.
Jerry Curls and Abstinence is
name of my band.
My favorite album from one of your bands. You know, folks, Prize Picks is fun and simple to play. That's why I love it. This episode today, in fact, is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but at Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. And that's the best kind of right, as far as I'm concerned. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. And I would encourage you to take advantage of the max discounts. When you get in the Prize Picks app, look around, kick the tires a little bit, look at all the options. You got every sport there to choose between, and then see if there's any max discounts going on. And if there are, avail yourself of that opportunity, because it makes winning just that much easier. And best of all, when you use my code Ricky, you're going to get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. It's as simple as that. Use my code Ricky, play a $5 lineup, and Prize Picks is going to give you $50 in lineups on the house. You can't beat it with a stick. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. And I'm hoping that I will be right with my latest play here. I'm going to share with you now. I've done something a little bit different here. I'm pairing up some World Series action with some NFL action. And here's what I got. I've got Mookie Betts to get at least one hit, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. as well. So I think Mookie Betts and Vlad Guerrero both have a hit in them tonight in Game 5 of the World Series. So I like my chances there. And then I'm going to chase it with a couple of young quarterbacks, Jackson Dart and Bo Nix. I think both of them are going to go for at least one touchdown pass this weekend. And so I'm already, Ron, I'm so confident in this one that I'm almost ready to start spending my money, is what I can tell you right now. I now welcome officially to the program the international streaming star. Joining me from Nashville, Tennessee is, of course, Ronnie T-Shirts. Ronnie.
Ricky.
How do you feel about Jordan's take here on this? You and I have gone back and forth on load management. It's kind of validating to hear a guy, because, you know, what are you going to mean? I say it, you say it. People are going to be like, bro, you haven't been playing basketball since you were at the Y 25 years ago. What the fuck do you know, you hippie, right? But when Jordan says it, it's like, okay, what's the counter to that? This guy, he's the man. He's at the absolute top of the hierarchy. If he says it, it's a little hard to say Michael Jordan's going, get off my lawn, is it not?
Yeah, man. So he mentioned 3 aspects of why he thought it was important to play. And the 2 that I think they're the least important are his own rhythm and the team chemistry. The most important one was, dude, the only reason the NBA and Major League Baseball and NFL and NHL and everything else exists is because the fans pay a lot of money to go to games or to watch them on TV, and they get the advertising dollars and all that stuff. I mean, could you imagine, and maybe this has happened to you, you have got a favorite restaurant that is super well known for a certain item. They have a specialty, and you make reservations, you make plans to go to that restaurant, you get there, you sit down, you are fired up, man. You've been thinking about it all day long. I'm going to get that item. And the waitress says, oh, we don't have that today. You're like, are you kidding me? Listen, you still eat just like you still see the basketball game. But if it happens more than once, you're not going back.
I went to Taco Bell once, Ron, and they were out of tacos. I'm not making this up. I got to the window and they're like, I'm sorry, we don't have any more tacos. What do you even say to that? But that's what it would feel like if you went to an NBA game to see a star.
Correct.
And then the star sets. It's like, where's my taco?
Well, you still get food.
But I paid a lot more money.
I didn't come for regular food. I came for that food. Right?
There's no refund either. You know what I mean? Like, I can drive to another Taco Bell.
That's true.
But I don't get my money back to go somewhere else.
That is true.
You know, so it's a little different in that circumstance. All right, Ronnie, we are going to go to a break now. And when we come back, I'm going to be joined by one of the finest wide receivers to ever play the game. I speak of the 3-time All-Pro Herman Moore, who will join me straight ahead right after this, right here on The Ricky Cobb Show. And welcome back to the program, my friends. Very excited to welcome my guest today. He is one of the finest wide receivers in the history of the National Football League and the co-host of Route 84 with Herman Moore on the Big Play Sports Network. It is my pleasure to welcome to the program the 3-time All-Pro Herman Moore. Herman, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure, Herman. And look, I really mean it clearly. You are one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play the game. I'm just going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room right out of the gate with you. In my opinion, and in the opinion of many people who know the game far better than I do, you're a Hall of Famer. What's going on? What's Canton's problem? Why isn't 84 in the Hall of Fame already?
You know what? I don't know. I always question what's the criteria. And I think as it continues to change, if it's, those players who were game changers or trailblazers in terms of, sheltering in the new big wide receiver. There were some guys who were 6'1", 6'2", but, getting 6'4", 6'5" receivers, it kind of happened after that. Harold Carmichael was one that I think is kind of the OG. But I did a lot in the 90s. I think if it's a statistical component, I think my numbers match up. My peak in terms of 7 years, 8 years of really just having an outstanding part of my career to just really, having the accolades that they asked for. So I don't know what the hiccup is other than I don't have the championship rings, but it's about individuals, not necessarily what the team did itself.
Well, I'm looking at some of your numbers, and I think, some people need a little refresher course, maybe, because in 1995, I remember that year, 123 catches, 1,686 yards, 14 touchdowns. I mean, that should leave no questions about what kind of a difference maker and game changer you were. And those 123 receptions, I mean, that's 30 years ago. That's not today. I remember at the time you were like a cheat code on a video game, man. How did it feel in that era when you were putting up? I mean, you had 3 straight 100-plus reception years at a time when that kind of stuff was basically unheard of. Nope, nobody was doing that. Not even Jerry Rice. What was it like at that time? I mean, how did it feel for you suiting up on Sunday, going out there knowing that you were going to give some defense a very, very difficult time?
Well, it meant I had arrived for one. But, it's a team sport. You can't do it without your teammates. And as great as some people want to say that I was during my time, even if it was Barry Sanders, it's more than just a team of one. But I'll say this, I went out every week and I wanted to make my mark. And I wanted to do it through excellence as the individual, because it's a team sport, but it's comprised of a lot of individuals who have to bring their best every week. And for me, that was the mindset, that was the mentality. And when I look back, and it was only until we started talking about the Hall of Fame conversation over the last few years that I really started to look back into the numbers and look back into just the individual part of it. And, you don't want to beat your own chest, you don't want to toot your own horn, but sometimes it's like if you don't, then you can't allow people to just kind of what I call step on your history and then let you be forgotten when you're still trying to finish your journey. And I'm trying to finish mine, and I want to end up in Canton. In order to do that, I think people need to really go back and pay attention and not just take the players and the star names that they saw that were in bright lights all the time because they're team success, but to go look at the other individual players when we're talking about Hall of Fame worthiness and then look at it from that perspective. And I think if they look at it objectively, there's no reason why I shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's the fact that you weren't on a lot of great teams that I think is factoring into this. But I look at it, and with respect, I mean, obviously you played with some good quarterbacks, and I don't mean anything but respect to those guys. But, you weren't catching passes from Joe Montana. You weren't, piling up statistics, catching passes from Dan Marino or whatever as well. And I think that people need to look at that as well when they're looking at your numbers. Herman, I got to ask you, Barry Sanders. I mean, you played with Barry Sanders. Now, I mean, you guys were really a defensive coordinator's nightmare coming in. You got to figure out what are we going to do with Herman Moore, and what are we going to do with Barry Sanders? What was it like playing with Barry? And was there any moment, if you remember the first moment or maybe just a moment where Barry did something in a game that just sort of caused you to stop and be a fan for a moment when you saw him do it?
Well, I became a really big fan. This is the interesting part that you were mentioning, because people always ask me all the time, they go, how has it been to play with a guy like Barry Sanders? And I always turn it around. I go, well, it's been great for Barry Sanders to play with a guy like me because I had to always be out there blocking ahead. But here's the deal. Like I always joke because if you're a receiver doing your job for Barry and you're blocking downfield, you'll never get to see his most spectacular plays until after the fact. Everyone else can see it live. We have to see it on the replays because it's happening behind us. So I would go in on Monday or whatever the next day was to watch film, and I would go, wow, I didn't realize that's what Barry did. Or I remember seeing it on the highlight shows. But when you go back and watch it over and over in the film sessions, then you really get the appreciation for just his athleticism, his vision, his durability, and just his overall impact on the game. I mean, Barry was phenomenal, and he made us better as receivers, not because it was just in the passing game, but because we couldn't really take plays off because you never knew, even though he was supposed to go right, Barry may reverse field and come left. So you were always considered on the primary side if you're on the field, if Barry Sanders is on the field.
Herman, I had a really interesting conversation down in New Orleans at the Super Bowl this year with Champ Bailey. And I was asking him sort of, just his mentality when you're facing the Marvin Harrisons and the absolute top guys. What was that challenge like? And I'd like to ask you the same thing from your perspective. When you were going into a game and you knew that it was going to be Deion Sanders that day, or Aeneas Williams, or anybody like that, what was that challenge like? Who were the guys that you most looked forward to playing against? Because I mean, I know some of those guys, they may not have always been your greatest games every Sunday when you went up against a legendary type guy, but I know somebody like yourself, the competitor you are, you want to measure yourself against the best. How much did you relish that challenge?
Well, I absolutely wanted that challenge. I wanted to always feel like you're going against the best, because that's what if you're looking to be the best, you have to go against the best and you have to beat the best. And anytime I didn't face someone like, let's say, for instance, Dion or Rod Woodson or Aeneas Williams or any of these guys, Darryl Green, one-on-one, I knew that I was going to be double covered. And then maybe they were going to go and be one-on-one with one of our other receivers and then double team me or triple team me. So I started to actually pay more attention to who were the defensive coordinators, because my goal was, I'm going to always beat these guys that are in front of me. I don't care who they are. It's not an arrogance. It's got to be a confidence. If you're going to be a wide receiver one in the NFL, you have to feel that no matter the person in front of you, you're going to beat them and make them change whatever their scheme or their system is. And that was the mentality. So I would look and see, Ray Rhodes or Tony Dungy or who was a coordinator that was going to have to make the adjustments and what possible adjustments they would make. Because if I didn't get them to have to shift that mindset and change their system, that means I didn't do my job, and that means they did enough to shut me down. So that was kind of my mentality.
So, Herman, when you look at it today, watching the NFL today, who are your favorite receivers now? Who are the guys that you like to watch? And are there any guys out there that remind you a little bit of yourself, maybe?
Wow. After I would have to go, it's kind of a series in which I watched it. So when I left, started watching, I love Marvin Harrison, a great guy. He and I had same offensive coordinator in Tom Moore, and we had very much a similar system. Larry Fitzgerald and Anquan Bolden. I used to watch those tandems, and Marvin Harrison. And, when they would put together their groups, right, that's the tandems I looked at. But if I had to really look at it, Mike Evans is he reminds me a lot of myself. He's very underrated. I don't think people pay a lot of attention to the fact that this person has had 1,000 yards every year he's been in the league. He's been a consummate consistency of a professional athlete. I enjoy watching Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, oh my goodness. It was so many, even like Steve Smith, he was still a little bit after me, but I just had appreciation for what I call dogs, like guys that just really went after. Andre Johnson. These are all guys that you may not hear about their names because they weren't on those championship teams. They weren't on the Super Bowl bound teams all the time. And those are the ones that get missed under the radar because they're very similar to me. I played with, double-digit quarterbacks. Scott Mitchell was the guy I played with the longest at 2 years. And when you have that volatility and that inconsistency, it doesn't mean you don't necessarily have the right quarterbacks, but you just don't have that consistency. And those guys are kind of the same way. But year after year after year, they don't have the all-pro quarterback, the MVP, the Super Bowl MVP. But yet it seems like the ones who have those guys under their belts are the ones who get more recognition, as if they're the top of the cream of the crop.
Yeah, absolutely. And it takes the quarterback and the receiver. Some of the historic things we see. So it's a great point. One more for you here, Herman. The Detroit Lions now. How much fun has it been to see the resurgence of the Detroit Lions? Last year, such a great year, didn't end on the note that folks were hoping for. Of course, then you lose your coordinators. Ben Johnson coming here to Chicago to be the head man for the Bears. Aaron Glenn taking over the Jets. As we get close to the midway point of this 2025 NFL season, what are your thoughts on what you're seeing from the Lions this year? And do you think that maybe this is the year that we might finally see the Detroit Lions in a Super Bowl?
When you have a team that's playing as well and as consistent as they are, and under the leadership of a coach like Dan Campbell, they're going to be a part of that conversation as long as they stay healthy, because he already has the culture. He has the team playing with that championship mentality. The mindset of the organization completely has changed. And because you have developed that and now the foundation has been set, the expectation is to always come out and be a part of the conversation or in contention. And that's what we see that's happening here. Will this be their year? They got the next 5-6 games. That's going to be as tough a stretch as any team in the NFL this year. And if they can get out of that one on the positive side of it, I think they'll be well on their way. If not, it's going to be a tough battle because there are a lot of teams in the NFC North. There are a lot of teams in the NFC East that are going to be vying for those positions. And it's just a tough division as overall, especially in the West. And then you go over to the AFC, there are some tough teams it's not just about getting into the Super Bowl, but can you become victorious? So it's going to be a tough challenge, but this team has the pieces to get it done. And if anyone's been paying attention for the last few years, regardless of the fact that Ben Johnson has left, Aaron Glenn has left, with Calvin Shepard, with John Morton as the offensive coordinator, these are guys that have stepped in and really put it all together. And then again, give a lot of kudos to their assistant coaches for keeping these guys game ready and prepared and very focused.
Herman, before you get out of here, the Route 84 with Herman Moore Show, Big Play Sports Network. Let my audience know what's going on, where they can find you, and how they can keep up with you these days.
Yep, so they can check us out either going to Route 84. We just started our social channels, so you can go there and check us out on the social media channels. Check us out on YouTube. You can also follow me on my social handles, HMan84 or Herman Moore 84, depending on the platforms you're on. And just come in and check out what we're doing. We're really being about not just the Detroit sports, we're looking within the division itself. And then we're taking a tour around the NFL. And I'm looking to bring even more things to it to make it a very engaging show. I know a lot of people jump into this space, but I've been in it for a while. And being with a guy like Anthony has been absolutely fantastic. And with Big Play, they provide just such a wonderful platform, a great team that can now allow us to expand. So I'm very excited about it. We're on Tuesdays, so they can check us out. Our slot right now is at 8 p.m., but we're going to be looking to move that around depending on how we need to adjust it as the show goes. But for right now, check us out, and we love to hear their comments.
All right. Well, it sounds like great stuff. Certainly coming from one of the greatest wide receivers there's ever been. Herman, I'm confident that you're going to be wearing that jacket one day, hopefully sooner than later. And one day when you are in, we'd love to have you back on again. Appreciate your time today.
Yeah, if not, I'll go ahead and get me a yellow jacket anyway, and I'll wear it and put my own patch up and come back on the show either way. I appreciate you.
There you go. You got a deal. Thank you, Herman Moore. Great stuff. Appreciate you.
My pleasure.
I enjoyed that one, Ronnie. Herman Moore, I don't know. He was a good guest. Seems like a nice guy. And you know what? I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. I think he's got every right to feel the way that he does. What are your thoughts?
Oh, dude, that's what stood out to me. I mean, how refreshing to have an athlete actually say, yeah, I should be in the Hall of Fame. Because all the time you always hear somebody ask that question. They're always like, well, that's not up to me. It's up to the voters and it's up to other people. And whatever happens, that'll be okay with me. He's like, no, I should be in the Hall of Fame. And then at the end, he's like, and if I don't, I'm getting my own gold jacket and putting a patch on it. I'll wear it on your show. I'm like, you go, Herman.
Yeah, I'm all in on the Herman Moore Hall of Fame candidacy. And he really does deserve it. I mean, you think about it. He had 123 receptions for the Lions 30 years ago.
That's like 170 now, right?
What did I say when I was talking to him? Yeah, that's like let me get my passing inflation calculator out, Ron. That's got to be about 170 right now. And the yardage that he had here, I'm looking through my notes. I want to get this number to you. 123 receptions, 1,686 yards, and 14 touchdowns. If you hear those numbers,
games.
You're going to think that you're going to think I'm talking about Randy Moss or Terrell Owens or Rice. But no, I'm talking about a guy who did that for the Detroit Lions and who I don't think gets enough credit because of where he played.
Absolutely.
If he had played on better teams, he might have had better numbers. Because again, I was trying not to throw his quarterbacks under the bus, but as he said, he only had 2 years of Scott Mitchell. That was the most stability that he ever had during his time in Detroit. So he's overcoming a turbulent quarterback situation to post those numbers.
Yeah, so you brought up the point of, the team that he played on. And so I don't think that that's actually really a factor anymore. It's like if you play on a bad team, but when he was playing, if you played on a bad team, your team was getting no airplay anywhere. Like you were just kind of here's a 2-minute highlight for the Lions, and that is it. Now
Thanksgiving.
I see highlights for
Thanksgiving
everybody.
was all he had.
Yeah.
Let's go into a tryptophan coma, and watch the Lions play the Bears. That's how I remember Thanksgiving when I was a kid. But Ronnie, we've got fish to fry right here today on this program because it's a day that ends in Y, and that means only one thing. It's time for America's Poll of the Day, and let's go do it now on Super 70 Sports on X, where the eagle flies higher than Herman Moore's statistics back in the 1990s, and that puts you up in the stratosphere. And here is today's poll, Ron. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. This isn't the strongest poll that I've ever put together, but the object of the poll is just to compare and contrast. So sometimes you just got to float things out there, and then you find out how people feel about it. We are sometimes surprised when we do this. So we'll see who is lying here waiting to be dangerous today. We'll begin with Cheap Trick. I want you
to want
me. Secondly, we have AC Green, the NBA's Iron Man. At Tim's request, I tried to put some old school NBA into the poll, and who better than the durable virgin, AC Green. He wasn't going to miss a game with any dick injuries, I'll tell you that, Ron. He had that going for him. Third, we have Knight Rider. Well, that's true. I don't know how he felt about masturbation. Listen, if he was also not a proponent of masturbation, I mean, I don't know what this motherfucker did. He needed to be in the game just to take his mind off of his urges, probably. David Hasselhoff wasn't celibate during the 1980s or any other time. I'll tell you that much for sure. And then lastly, for my food-loving audience, cornbread. Who doesn't like, I'm from Kentucky. I mean, who doesn't like some cornbread? Ronnie, break it down for me as only you can.
Cheap Trick at Budokan, one of my favorite albums when I was a kid. I know you're not going to believe that, but it was. What was the drummer's name? Bunny Scott?
Dude, I couldn't tell you the names of any of them.
Oh yeah,
and
Robin, like the lead singer was Robin something. Dude, I know more about this. Is crazy, like Robin.
The guy
something?
in the little hat.
Yeah,
is his name Rick? The dude in the hat.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
AC Green, like I said earlier in the show, the only thing that comes to mind is Jerry Curls and abstinence with AC Green. So yeah, he would tie for fourth. Or tie for third with me on Knight Rider because I didn't consume 1 second of Knight Rider. I know that something about a car that talks, Kit or something. I don't know, but I never watched it.
He could talk, yeah. William Daniels was the voice of Kit. Later became Kevin Arnold's teacher on The Wonder Years. Or was that Boy Meets World? He was on Boy Meets World. I take that back. He was the other Savage's teacher. Who's the other Savage? Fred, not Fred. What's the other kid's name? Ben Savage.
Yeah.
That's who it is.
With Topanga.
Right. Go on. Yeah, that was going to bother me if I didn't remember that.
So if you will give me, so I like cornbread. I really like cornbread. But if you'll give me cornbread out of a cast iron skillet and it's still hot and you put that tab of butter on it and just let it melt, and I do like chunks of corn in it. I like chunks of corn. I don't know how everybody else likes, if they like pulp in their cornbread. I do. I like the added texture, but it's got to come from a cast iron skillet to really be like perfect.
Yeah. The skillet is the difference maker. That's how my mom used to make it. I'd get up on a Saturday morning, flip on some professional wrestling. My mom would give me some cornbread, and then I would crumble the cornbread up and put it into a bowl of cold milk.
Yeah, I've heard that people do that. I have never done that before.
So good. So good, dude. Try it. really, really try it. Now, I don't need the pieces of corn in there. That's not how Mama made it. So I'm used to it without that. But look, cornbread is good stuff. It's underrated. It should be more widely available, Ron. Quite frankly, there should be more cornbread and hush puppies as well, for that matter. Why is the hush puppy so rare to find in this country of ours? Hush puppies should be out there. It's never a bad decision. I'm never disappointed when I order hush puppies. You know what I'm saying?
Nope.
So Ron,
I'm going cornbread.
I'm going to walk you through. Can you give me like 2 or 3 other Cheap Trick songs besides the one that I referenced earlier?
I mean, I'll look for them. I don't know them off the top of my head, but I'll know them when I see them. So just talk about the other 3.
Okay. AC Green. I think we've covered AC pretty clearly at this point. Knight Rider was not a show that I really was into either, Ron. I saw an episode here or there. I get the concept, but, I did not watch a lot of Knight Rider at all. I'm going to have to go with cornbread as well, with all respect to
only
AC
one song. There's only one song on this list that I recognize by the name of the song. The rest of them, maybe I would know if I heard them. Dream Police.
And see, I got nothing there.
Wow.
So I think
Are you a communist? Are you a communist?
Well, I might be a little pink, maybe. I don't know. I don't know that. I know the name of the song, and I probably would know it if I heard it.
Yeah, listen to it after the show. You'll know.
Doesn't trigger.
Yeah, you'll know.
All right, well, let's go to poll results here. See what folks are saying about this one. I heard a rumor that AC Green is not doing very well. So,
I think Chaka Khan would beat AC Green.
I think AC Green, this is a man who accomplished 2 superhuman feats. Put respect on that man's name. And look at this. It's close. Cheap Trick and David Hasselhoff are going to go down to the wire. We might have to keep monitoring this one all the way into tomorrow to figure out what's going on here. We may not have a winner when we go on the air with tomorrow's program, Ron. I'm not sure. But respectable 3rd place finish by Cornbread there. It's not often that you see 3 factors in a poll end up over 25%. That means that somebody didn't do well. And in this case, it is the durable virgin, AC Green, that is only going to get 7% of the vote. I don't know if that is because people don't like work ethic or because they don't like morals or what the issue is. But yesterday, by the way, Ron, we didn't talk about it, but a funny fart just destroyed Patrick Ewing. The last time I looked, it was 49% funny fart, 13% Patrick Ewing. Can you imagine
what constitutes
that?
A funny Patrick fart Ewing? For you?
Well, I know it when I hear it.
Sound Ron, a little wet.
It's like Potter Stewart's definition of, wet now. We're going from funny to concerning, perhaps. You know what I mean? If I hear moisture, I'm probably not laughing at that point. I'm probably just wanting to remove myself from the vicinity of whoever did that. Ron, we'll see tomorrow what the people are saying about this, because we've got a lot to talk about on this program tomorrow. We're going to be talking about the old school, new school NBA debate, seeing what folks have to say about that. And we will be looking at your comments tomorrow as well as we get into poll replies. I know normally we do it right after the poll, but we're going to do it tomorrow so that we can see what you say. Head over to the community tab on our YouTube page, the Ricky Cobb Show channel on YouTube, and leave your comments there, and we will see what it is that you had to say about AC Green, Cornbread, Cheap Trick, and Knight Rider on tomorrow's program. We're also excited, my friends, to announce the return of the most patriotic award show on television. It is the Fox Nation Patriot Awards, which will be returning on November 6th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, hosted by Sean Hannity at the Tillis Center in New York. And you could be there. Tickets are on sale now at foxnation.com/Patriot Awards. You know, last year was a record setter. This year's show promises to be even bigger. And by heading over to foxnation.com/Patriot Awards, you might even be in attendance if you so desire. And so with that being said, my friends, I would like to thank Ronnie T-Shirts for his contributions to this program. I'd like to thank Herman Moore for a great interview. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I'd like to thank Adam, Molly, Colin, the whole crew in Nashville that makes this ship float, Jared, and Tim as well, the finest production in the business, and always an important part of this show on the days that it goes well, which I think it did today. And tomorrow's show promises to be even better. So don't miss it. Look forward to you being right back here with us when we will tee it high and let it fly with the next episode of The Ricky Cobb Show.